Started. Um, Today we're going to be talking about Amazon FBA. In particular, we're going to be talking about doing Amazon FBA with regard to using retail arbitrage as a method of product sourcing. So we're doing this in collaboration with a group that I run called ASIN Central, which is an Amazon FBA focused group, and we'll kind of get into that in just a minute. But we've decided to kind of partner up with Drip to provide a lot of this information to you guys. You guys have a solid community, and we want to be able to kind of give you guys an introductory level basis of information and just kind of get into it. So just to answer some brief questions about myself, my real name is Dayton. I'm from Phoenix, Arizona, and I've been in the Amazon game for going on 12 years now. Our whole team is a collective of about 15 years of Amazon experience. Um, I started doing Amazon in 2011 with my dad. He had actually gotten into doing Amazon FBA, and I kind of helped him run that whole shebang. I was able to learn a lot about the whole Amazon fulfillment process and working with wholesale companies, and even just down to the nitty gritty of like Amazon's packaging details and their requirements for those things, and all sorts of things with regard to just Amazon's early on operations with regard to FBA. So that's kind of how I got my start. I worked, with my dad, running out of our home, and it kind of inspired me to pursue Amazon as I grew older, and um, it's kind of led me to starting several different e-commerce ventures over the years. Most of my successful ones have been in private label and with arbitrage. Wholesale has been successful as well, but I run a couple things that go across a bunch of different platforms, including like Shopify. We'll do our own like private label toys, especially during Q4. Q4 of last year, there were a bunch of those little magnetic rings that we were selling and did very well with those. Our brand was called Hook Hoops, but we've done a bunch of different things. And the most success we've found actually is with Amazon doing Amazon FBA. And there's several reasons for that, which we'll kind of get into throughout this presentation. Um, and like I mentioned at the beginning, what we're going to be talking about in particular today is retail arbitrage as far as a method of product sourcing. So um, nowadays, I am running ASIN Central, and I do mostly Amazon full time. I actually just bought a house off my Amazon income. Um, I'm in my early 20s, so that's been a really awesome experience, and I'm very grateful to be fortunate enough to be in that position. And I'd like to be able to kind of share that success with you guys and kind of get you guys started up with Amazon. So um, I'll talk briefly on ASIN Central and what the group is, and kind of how this partnership came about. We describe ourselves as a premium e-commerce community, so basically just uh, a, a, a mosh pit of various Amazon and other e-commerce. We call them juggernauts, where these people who are doing like 700,000 a year in e-commerce sales, we try to get them all together and try to get everybody on the same page with regard to Amazon. So um, we're pretty new. We just exited beta in July of 2021, and our primary focus with e-commerce is Amazon FBA. So ASIN stands for Amazon Standard Identification Number. So you can kind of sense from the name that we're focused on Amazon FBA. And all new members are provided with a 4-week crash course, and we always start with retail arbitrage and kind of venture into online arbitrage and then scale it into other methods such as private label and wholesale on Amazon. So that's what we're going to be talking to you guys about today. Is we're going to be providing a lot of that information that we provide our members, because we really believe in drip. And Milkman actually reached out to me and was really looking to kind of get this partnership set up for you guys, because there's some very valuable information that we're going to be providing. And yeah, so um, we've got some success just within our limited time operating as a group already, and we're pretty stoked to already be where we're at. So enough about ASIN. Let's talk briefly on Amazon FBA. So a lot of people have heard about Amazon FBA. It's almost a buzzword at this point, especially if you're on like TikTok or something like that. You hear about all these dudes talking about how they do Amazon FBA and they go to Walmart and they buy toys and they sell them online. That is retail arbitrage, but it's really important that we kind of get a boilerplate understanding of what FBA actually is if we want to start using it. So Amazon FBA started in 2006 with Amazon's expansion of their e-commerce like fulfillment network. You know that Amazon nowadays is a giant, if not the largest retailer in the nation, perhaps even the world. And a big portion of this comes from their implementation of Amazon FBA, which is fulfilled by Amazon. That's what it stands for. So it's basically a method of product fulfillment where you send in your products to the warehouse. And when your product sells, Amazon will have their own warehouse employees pick your product off the shelf, pack it up, send it to the customer in their own packaging, and provide all the customer service for it without you really having to do anything. So it's very passive in that regard. There's two methods of product fulfillment on Amazon. You can either do FBA or FBM, which is fulfilled by merchant, which is the most similar to eBay in the sense that somebody orders it, then you send it to them using your own packaging, you provide the customer service. There's some advantages to both. If it's not obvious already, I'm very biased to Amazon FBA. I think the advantages outweigh the cons for sure, but we'll kind of talk about that next. But FBA and FBM, they're two different methods of product fulfillment for sending products to customers on Amazon. So, like we said, no inventory is on hand. You basically procure the inventory. If you actually start to get into wholesale, you don't even need to have the inventory in your own prep center or warehouse. They can just go straight to the Amazon fulfillment center from the wholesale company. So you don't even need to worry about that, which is awesome. But that is kind of one of the biggest advantages. Additionally, we don't have to handle customer service. If a customer wants to return, they just do it through Amazon. You don't have to be emailing customers or dealing with irate customers about a product or anything like that. And you also are not given the feedback on your customer service with customers, and you're not really worried about getting poor ratings on Amazon because you're not the one providing the customer service. Amazon's reps do. So, one thing I'll say about Amazon FBA, it's not for flipping hype items or for flipping pools or anything like that. Like if you really wanted to get into Amazon, what you're setting yourself up for is a more consistent, I don't want to say reliable, but I feel like it's much more reliable, but a smaller profit per item kind of situation where, you know, pools did great this summer. For those of you who are already aware, pools did great this summer. But it's not the FBA is not the method for flipping hype items, and there's a multitude of reasons for that, but we'll kind of get into that later. I do want to mention those of you who are under the age of 18, you may struggle with trying to sell on Amazon. So
somebody's trying to get in the shop. Where's like the thing?
All right, sorry, took care of that. Where was I? Oh, so you do need to be 18 plus to sell on Amazon. We do have a couple members in ASIN Central who they're not 18 and up. If your parents are willing to create an Amazon account for you and allow you to use it, that is definitely allowed. The creation process of an Amazon account is quite thorough. So we're really going to want to make sure that your parents, if they are creating an account for you, they're crossing their T's and dotting their I's because Amazon does not mess around with new sellers signing up on their platform. You must go through all the hoops. Not to scare you away, because Amazon does do. They have some pretty thorough requirements, but they do. They're friendly, you know. So talking about Amazon, with regard to FBA, we're going to discuss briefly the cons and the pros. So, doing FBA as opposed to maybe FBM or selling on another platform, there's definitely going to be higher per item fees, and that's because Amazon does provide the customer service. They do provide the packaging. When you ship FBA, you get the Prime 2-day shipping, so you're paying for that premium shipping cost. Um, Additionally, as far as like packaging and labeling your products, there are definitely some cons there with regard to the additional effort on your part before you send products into Amazon's warehouse. Um, Amazon FBA requirements are pretty thorough. If you're going to send in a topical product, they need to be polybagged and they need to have an expiration date. Case packs need to be sent in with a large expiration date sticker on the case pack and each individual item. So there's some pretty strict requirements before you send in inventory to Amazon. But if you're able to learn those requirements and adhere to them, it's very worth it. The biggest disadvantage to FBA, and for those of you who are familiar with pools being a big hit this summer, FBA is pretty poor for heavy and large items. That's because anything oversized getting sent into Amazon's warehouse needs to be stored like in a special place in the warehouse that costs more money. Additionally, Amazon's negotiated rates with their shipping carriers, such as like UPS or other carriers that they use, including their own fulfillment network, does not provide great discounts on heavy items. So patio heaters coming up in November, those may be a big hit this year. We'll see with the resurgence of COVID. I'm not quite sure, but last year they were a big hit. The problem was they're very expensive when you sell them FBA, like $60 to handle the shipping and everything. So those things are probably better for FBM. With regard to the pros, like I said earlier, Prime 2-day shipping is a big pro to Amazon FBA. That attracts buyers in and of itself. You'll see, as a Prime customer myself, I always search for the Prime 2-day shipping option. And if the item doesn't have it, there's actually a high chance I won't even purchase the product. So sending in an Amazon product, FBA allows you to take advantage of that Prime 2-day shipping. Additionally, this is something we're going to talk about next, the buy box, but Amazon FBA sellers almost always win the buy box, which is basically what's going to determine whether or not you sell your products on their platform. Really cool part about Amazon FBA and retail arbitrage in particular is it has a very predictable fee structure. So unlike with eBay or even like other third-party marketplaces such as Facebook or Mercari or stuff like that, you don't always know your fees until you've sold the product. With Amazon, before you even send in your product, you will know the fees down to the penny for every single part of the fulfillment process. So you will know if it's profitable at the point that the product's been sitting in the warehouse for 3 months. You'll know if it's been there for 6 months, if it's still profitable. You'll know when you're analyzing the product whether or not the shipping fees make it worth it. There's a lot of really awesome parts about sending in Amazon products FBA because they just provide you the exact fee from the get-go. Additionally, as mentioned previously, it's pretty much like a ship it and forget it kind of deal where you send in your inventory to Amazon and then you don't really have to worry about it because Amazon will sell it. They'll handle all the fulfillment and they send it to the customer and provide customer service. They'll let you know when you've sold it and they'll give you your money biweekly as you sell. Or if there's a return, they'll handle the return. And if the product is eligible for resale, they'll put it back in your inventory. Otherwise, they'll send it back to you. So you don't really have to do much handling of inventory, which much like you've probably heard of drop shipping, that's one of the biggest advantages of drop shipping. Amazon FBA does that kind of as well. That also gives you the opportunity to focus on sourcing your product as opposed to shipping and handling all your products. So you can spend more time trying to find profitable leads, trying to find those products that are going to make you money rather than taking care of the customers that you already have. You're going to let Amazon do that. And because of that, it's a lot more scalable. Your time is spent less on handling orders and more on sourcing. And one of the final and perhaps one of the most interesting parts of Amazon FBA is FBA offers instantly are promoted more through keyword searches on the Amazon platform and their own SEO than FBM, because Amazon can guarantee that the customer will have a positive interaction by purchasing that product because they're the ones handling all the fulfillment. Amazon themselves, if you don't already know, cares a lot about their customer image. And with FBM offers, if the merchant is the one selling and shipping the item, they're taking a bit of a risk. So they're less willing to promote the listing for your product. So we talked briefly on the buy box. It's really important that we kind of discuss what the buy box is before we proceed. Basically, it's this. It is the selected offer when a customer hits the add to cart button. Basically, when you send in a product to Amazon and your item's sitting in the warehouse, there's probably going to be 4 other people sitting on that same listing, selling that same product, because you don't have to create your own listings on Amazon. You don't have to take a picture of it. You don't have to upload it like you do on eBay or write a description. You just provide them what product it is and then send it to them, and they handle all that. Because there's so many different people competing to sell that product, the one person who is consistently winning the buy box is the one who's going to get the most sales. So it is literally just this right here, the whole only 2 left in stock, order soon, add to cart box. That is the buy box. So it rotates every 15 minutes roughly. They every 15 minutes they basically do a check on who's actively listing the product and who actually has the best seller metrics. So every 15 minutes they're basically checking a winner, and they're pitting each of the listings against each other and trying to see, okay, who's going to win this time. And that's why you might see prices constantly fluctuating on Amazon, because different sellers are allowed to price within 5% of each other, and whoever has the strongest metrics will win the most, though not always. So you can have amazing metrics and you'll only win 60% of the time if there's like 50 other people on the listing. So that's something that you would need to consider when you're sourcing products. But regardless, you want to win the buy box. So it's also important to note that not every listing has a buy box. So if you ever go on like an Amazon listing and you look and see how it says like see selected offers or stuff like that, or choose an offer, it won't actually give you the add to cart button. This is because Amazon doesn't determine that the price for that product is considered competitive, or they don't think that the sellers who are listing have good enough metrics to give that item a buy box. So that's how the buy box kind of works. And yeah, you want to win the buy box because 82% of all Amazon sales go through the buy box, and Amazon themselves reported that number. Like, you do not want to lose the buy box. And FBA pretty much guarantees that you'll take it over anybody selling FBM. So, talking about retail arbitrage, first of all, what is arbitrage? If you look at the Oxford definition for arbitrage, it talks about the simultaneous buying and selling of commodities in differing markets in order to take advantage of differing prices for the same asset. So basically what we were doing when we're doing retail arbitrage, which like I said is the first method of product fulfillment that we'll be teaching, is we're basically going into retail brick and mortar stores, scanning their products, checking their price, and figuring out if we can sell it on Amazon for a profit, because oftentimes Amazon will have a different price than the retailer. So there's a lot of benefits to this. The biggest thing is that it's low capital. So you don't really need to start out with $5,000 to $10,000 to sell on Amazon doing retail arbitrage, unlike with private label or wholesale, which are both methods that require an immense amount of capital to start and a high risk tolerance. With retail arbitrage, you already see everything about the product before you send it in, and that allows you to specifically choose what products you want to sell, and you can buy as little as one of each, and that allows you to kind of stretch $500 and make another $500 off of it. Knowing everything before you purchase the product by scanning the product with an app in the store, which is how you do it. We'll kind of talk about that briefly, is probably the most important part of this retail arbitrage thing, because it is what allows basically anybody to do it rather than having to use all these crazy special tools or have relationships with resellers or retailers. Um, you get to know everything about the product before you purchase, and it allows you to make better sourcing decisions. And you can also return your products. So if you buy something and you take it home and you realize, oh wait, this product is not as good as I thought it was, you can take it back to the store and they'll give you your money back. So it's really there's not a lot of risk when you're purchasing products here. You could even ask Amazon to send you back the product and you could go return it to the store. Um, it allows newbies to kind of learn Amazon FBA and make profit while doing so and build that capital to kind of scale and pivot into multiple different methods of product sourcing while still making good money. So um, it's kind of like treasure hunting. So when we talk about products that are they have differing prices in different markets, it might be easy to think like, okay, how many products are there? Like, what kind of products are selling for more on Amazon? Because Amazon usually has the lowest price, right? That's not always true, and in fact, most of the time, it's not true. So let's take this product for example. We found it at the Ross. You've seen Ross stores all around the U.S. Most states have them. They retail for about $30, and they sell for about 120 on Amazon. Fees for this toy, if you see on some of the extra images provided on the side, like the toy is larger than the kids, so it's quite a large toy. So the fees are about $33 on average. Fees for an item are between like $8 and $12, but regardless, you're still profiting $56. And when there's like four of these in a Ross store, you can buy all of them because this toy on average gets about 180 sales a month. So um, you can see from the listing picture, there's about 12 offers there. It says new 12 from $99.95 plus free shipping. So um, dividing 180 by 12, you're able to sell at least 15 of those products. So, and then this is something that we shared in our group here with some of our members, with our Bolo bot that we have that automatically sources and lists products for members. But some other products that you'll find, this thing we found at Kohl's. It's a really creepy looking monkey. It's $23.99, sales for $85, pocket $35 after the fees. Gets about 60 sales a month, but there's only 3 offers, so you can probably buy more of these, about 20. So another Bolo from the group, end of July, we shared this one. Another one, and this one is from back in March, when we were in beta. Really big flip on this one. The price has tanked since, so I took the screenshot earlier today. It's only $599.95, but it used to be about $700. And if you looked at any TJX store, so that includes like Marshalls, TJ Maxx, Home Goods, any of those stores, they had these from, I guess, clearance from Allclad, and they were $350, selling for about $770, and that led to about $281 in profit. And yes, it was heavy, but fees for this item was about 100 and something bucks, but you still profited about 280, and an average of 270 sales a month. So just kind of crazy. There are tons of these products out there on a consistent basis, and it's really important that we're taking advantage of those. So let's kind of discuss how we do that. Before we do that, let's talk about why a customer would pay more on Amazon. Because it seems really strange. Like, why would somebody willingly spend $700 on some All-Clad pots and pans when they could go into a store and spend $300? There's a bunch of different reasons. One of them is just a variance in product cost across the country. There's people, like, if you're buying something in a high cost of living area, like any sort of metro city like New York City or something like that, you're going to have a higher per item cost for almost every good that you purchase. And then if you're buying something in Oklahoma, it's probably going to be a lot cheaper. So because somebody in Oklahoma could purchase something for cheaper than what somebody in New York is willing to pay for, since you're selling on Amazon, those two people are sharing the same market. So to some people, it looks like a great deal. Additionally, there's just a cost of convenience with selling on any e-commerce platform where you're paying to not have to drive to the store and to have it sent to you. And especially with Amazon, you're paying to be able to have the great return policy and 2-day shipping and everything. One other thing that we really don't want to ignore is um, ignorance. And when we say this, we're not saying that the customer is stupid, but um, not everybody has the time to research every single purchase that they make, especially when they're impulse purchases or like a gift for somebody. And especially if they're purchasing last minute, not everybody's going to go into every single retail store and start price matching everything on Amazon. You'll find a lot of price motivated customers out there, but most people are not willing to do the extra work. So they go on Amazon. That's the first place they check. They like the price. They'll buy it. They don't really care that it's $20 at Walmart and $60 on Amazon because they're still happy they purchase it through Amazon. And much like you see with Costco, people are willing to purchase at a place that has an awesome customer service and return policy because they know they could return it later. So I mentioned Ross earlier. There's tons of places to source these products. Many of them are considered discount department stores, and that's just because these guys act basically like the final step before liquidators, or sometimes they even buy like liquidation pallets. So they're able to get extremely great discounts on some of these even name brand products like Nike, and allow you to purchase from them and sell the product new on Amazon because all the products are new. So Ross, Marshalls, TJ Maxx, Ollie's Bargain Outlet, Tuesday Morning. Those are just examples. There's tons of different discount department stores across the U.S. Even Kohl's is great. Nordstrom Rack is also great. There's tons of retailers, but it doesn't have to be a discount department store. Other places are great as well, including Walmart or Target, Home Depot, Lowe's, any of those places, especially their clearance aisles. You'll find some really great deals. Walmart rollback on toys can be awesome. So tons of places to source these products. Um, Talking about what to source. So as a new seller, it's very difficult to find profitable products. I shouldn't say it's very difficult, it's not impossible, but you will not find as many profitable products as you would if you were a more experienced seller. Um, this is because you're restricted in a lot of the categories of products that you'll find in most retailers. So, as a new seller, you cannot sell grocery and gourmet food. You can't sell topicals or beauty products or toys and games or health and household products such as like Lysol or any sort of cleaning supply. Tech brands can't sell those, nor can you sell like Nike, Adidas, or Under Armour without getting approved. And that whole approval process is called ungating. So you need to apply it to be ungated to sell those brands. One really awesome part of this partnership that we did with Drip is we're actually providing you our Ungate bot. So this Ungate bot is an in-house software that we made for current members. We'll be providing Drip members limited access to some of these ungates. So you'll get access to grocery and gourmet food, topicals, beauty, and toys and games, which are all awesome, especially if you're sourcing at like a Walmart, Target, or any of those discount department stores. There's tons of products in those categories that are there. Most other sellers are not eligible to sell, so there's tons of profitable leads there that you can find. So that will be live after this presentation. So talking about what you should focus on before you get ungated. Um, Before we even talk about this, I do want to mention that you should be getting some sales in these categories before you apply to be ungated. It will help with your ungating applications. Amazon wants to see that you have at least some track record of being able to purchase and send products to Amazon and have them sell before they're willing to provide you access to those categories. So if you wanted to sell as a new seller, you should be focusing on what you have access to, which is home and kitchen, pet supplies, clothing and shoes are also really great. Anything that you would have access to as a category, you should be looking at. So these are the top three. And like I said, you really want to focus on getting sales history. You should be okay with finding something with a smaller margin just so you can get that sales history. And that just needs to be for your first or second sourcing trip when you're sourcing products. You want to go into a store, scan some products, do some product analysis, and just buy products that will allow you to have some sales history so you can apply for those ungates, and then you'll be able to source really profitable leads. So um, most other sellers don't have access to those ungating or ungated categories. So it's very unlikely that you'll see prices tank on those listings as opposed to some of the other ones like home and kitchen. So we have provided um, some guides from our 4-week course, like I mentioned earlier, for Drip members, and we've kind of provided a lot of summarized versions of the course. The course contains like 300 pages worth of information. We kind of summarized a lot of the most important parts for Drip members. So if you look here, you can see um, if you read the first guide, it's going to talk extensively about this. But when you're ready to get started, you're going to want to go to sellercentral.amazon.com. Like we said, you need to be $18 or $18, 18 years of age or older. And you'll need to create a professional seller account. So talking briefly about the monthly recurring costs for starting, it's about $40 a month plus Keepa, which is about $18. And we'll talk about that in a second. You'll need the professional seller account because it's what's going to allow you to have a buy box offer. And as we know, 82% of sales go through the buy box. So you'll want to have a professional seller account. It also allows you to ditch some of the per item fees. So if you registered under a individual account, it'll cost 99 cents for every item you sell, which will eat pretty heavily into your profit margins, especially when you're first starting out. So we don't really advise doing that. And there's tons of other things as well that professional sellers get access to with regard to like new features or promoting of listings. One thing that I want to mention to all of you is if you are interested in creating an Amazon account, and I highly suggest you do so probably like tonight, they will ask you, some of you, not all of you, to complete a video interview. They do it at random, where they're basically just going to hop on a video call with you and ask you to hold up your ID next to your face and a utility bill or maybe a bank statement or something like that to prove that you are who you say you are. As I said earlier, they're very strict about creating new seller accounts because they want to prevent counterfeiters and people who are have more nefarious reasons for creating an Amazon account from signing up for their platform. So, additionally, I do want to mention if you already have an Amazon seller account, you already have a leg up on most other people. Don't create another Amazon seller account. Amazon only allows one account per IP/household. And if you create another one, both of your accounts will get banned. So don't do that. Talking briefly about the software, like we said, $39.99 a month for the Seller Central account. Additionally, you'll want to pay for Keepa, which is a product analysis software. That's going to cost about $18 a month. And when you're first starting out, you do not really need to pay for additional software. We teach in our course about how to use other software such as Inventory Labs and Scoutify. We're not really going to be talking about that in these introductory level guides just because they're not really necessary when you're first starting. They're certainly awesome, but they're not necessary. And because we want to have like that low barrier to entry, we're just going to be using the Amazon Seller app to source and scan product. And in about 2 slides, we'll kind of talk briefly on using that. The purpose of this presentation is not to get into the nitty gritty of getting started with retail arbitrage. It's more to kind of introduce you to it. And then we'll be releasing the guides after this presentation where you can actually dive into exactly how to get started and how to source products. So, yeah. As far as supplies are concerned, you don't need a ton of supplies. You'll want some boxes. My suggestion for those of you on a limited budget, literally go to the grocery store and tell them you're moving and say, hey, do you guys have any boxes I can spare? And they'll be more than glad to give you a bunch of free boxes. I've done this several times when I was first starting with my retail arbitrage stuff, and it worked wonders. So you can usually get a variety of different sizes, which is great. But if you don't feel comfortable doing that, you can also go to Home Depot or Walmart and purchase some boxes there. There are some size requirements that we talked briefly on in the guides. Generally, you don't want to purchase anything larger than a medium when you're purchasing those boxes. You're going to need shipping tape, obviously. I recommend 3-inch shipping tape and a shipping tape gun if you're going to start doing this seriously. It's like $20. It's a really great investment because your products won't open, or your boxes won't open when you're sending them to Amazon. But when you're first starting out, you can just get a $4 roll at Walmart or something and get started with that. One thing that you will need to purchase either from a shipping supply store or from online, which is what we recommend, just buying them straight from Amazon themselves, are poly bags. Those are product bags that will be put around most products you will source, especially topicals and grocery. Those items need to be polybagged as well as clothing. So it's just a little cellophane wrapping that goes around the product to prevent damage during shipping and transit. And if a product's sitting on the shelf, it kind of prevents the product itself from collecting dust and stuff. So you'll want address labels because every single item you send into Amazon will need your own seller FN SKU, which is a fulfillment network stock keeping unit. It's basically just a little barcode that you put over the UPC, which is the normal barcode. But it's a label that you'll need to put on so Amazon can track your inventory throughout the warehouse. Additionally, you're going to want Scotty peelers, and we have this in the guide as well as Goo Gone. Those are both great supplies for use in removing stickers from retail, like discount department stores. You'll want to make sure that you remove those stickers because obviously you don't want the customer to see how much you paid for the product or they're going to be pretty pissed. But those two are pretty much essential, especially for like Ross or Burlington stickers, which are a giant pain to remove. Last, you'll also want some dunnage or packing material. In the guides, we provide a really cheap, like 1,000-foot roll of packing paper for like $11. That's what we recommend the most. Amazon does require you use specific packing materials when you're sending the inventory to their warehouse. They just don't want to have a giant mess. So don't use packing peanuts or anything like that. It needs to be like brown paper or air pillows or something like that. All in all, your supplies will cost you probably about $50. So thinking about, starting capital, if you're on a budget of $500, you'll probably want to allocate, maybe we could even just round up and say $200 for supplies and software and gas and getting to the store and from the store. And then about $300 to spend on products. So it's a pretty low barrier to entry to get started on Amazon. Definitely something I would recommend. So next, we're just going to talk briefly on, I mentioned using the Amazon Seller app to source products, what that kind of looks like. And these will be some screenshots from our guides. And we're just going to kind of talk about how that works and basically what you would do. So you'll download the Amazon Seller app from your respective app store on iPhone or Android, and you'll log in with your Amazon account. And there's a little button that allows you to turn on the camera. And all you really need to do is aim the camera at the product of whatever product you're looking at in the store. We literally advise you walk into whatever store you go to and just start on one wall and scan everything. You just aim the camera and aim it at the barcode, and it will automatically pull up all of the information on that product on Amazon. So you can see at the top, it puts the rank and the title, as well as, rating and stuff, an image of the product. And then it also has like a breakdown, tells you about other people who are listing on or listing that product, as well as gating information. So whether or not you are eligible to sell it as a new seller. So you'll be analyzing this on the regular, and part 2 of the guides talks extensively about exactly what rank you'll want to look for and exactly what profitability you should be aiming for and what you should be looking for when you're analyzing these products. But literally, you will go into a store, pick up a product, scan it, look at the statistics. If the purchase price looks good and you're making a profit, you should pick up the product and take it home and follow part 3 to send in the product to Amazon. So if you look at the on here, it's the FBA breakdown. So if you look at that, you can kind of see under Amazon Fulfilled, which is the FBA option, what the fee breakdown is. So like I said at the beginning of this presentation, Amazon tells you all of the fees before you even get into selling the product. So you don't have to worry about like unexpected fees showing up or weird things cutting into your profit. You just know from the get-go before you even purchase the product exactly how much money you'll make and how quickly it's going to sell based off the sales rank. So you can see for this book, it is about $8 in fees. That's pretty high for this book, considering the low price is $14.16. But if you look here, if you go under listings information, you can see there's 49 people selling this product. I personally would avoid it, but this is just a demonstration. So after you put in the cost of purchase, so if I found it for $4 at the store and I wanted to sell it on Amazon, it'll tell me in green there how much profit I'll make. So I'd make $1 off this. Generally speaking, we advise you look for products that are a minimum of like $4 to $5 profit, or at least about 35% ROI. We talk about that in the guides, but this is literally what you'll do is you'll go into the store, scan the product, look at the product details, and we provide a checklist of exactly what to do. Look at the profitability. If it's great, pick up the product. So this is the rank chart that I mentioned earlier. It kind of talks about like what categories, what the maximum rank I suggest is personally. You don't have to go off this by yourself. Like you're more than welcome to venture out of it, and I encourage you to do so, in fact. But it is just a really good resource for those of you who are first getting started. So you could download this, put it in the notes app of your phone. It's in the guide, and it will kind of talk about exactly what ranks you should be avoiding. So talking about Keepa, I mentioned that pretty early on as well. That's the software that we will use. The guide talks about how to use this, but basically Keepa is something we will use in addition to the Amazon Seller app. And what it does is it provides long-term historical data on every single product. So you can see based off previous trends, how well that product is going to do in the future. So they'll basically provide you this little graph here, and it will say, okay, so you can see the green line, which is the sales rank. So the lower the sales rank, the better. Number one being the product sells the most out of any other product in that category. So looking at spiking, like you can see around here, around March 8th or something like that, it spikes almost at 100,000 and then it goes back down. So you would just be looking at this, and the guide talks about what you're looking for when you look at these graphs. Mainly what you want to see is consistent sales rank history and consistent pricing. But you would be checking Keepa to see how well a product's done historically, and then kind of figure out if it's something you're willing to purchase to sell on Amazon. So you'll do that at whatever store you go to. You'll sell all of your products on Amazon after you purchase them just by shipping them into Amazon. And then you just kind of rinse and repeat. You go into different retailers every week. You scan all the products that are new, or if it's your first time, you'll scan literally everything. And then you'll just keep picking up products as you go. And you will find, on average, most of these products that you look at, it takes about one in every like 45 to 50 you scan to find a profitable one, which sounds bad, but it's actually a really great um, frequency for finding products because Amazon has about 400 million products listed on their platform. Um, and any retailer like a Walmart could have as many as 120,000 products in one Walmart supercenter. So when you kind of think about how many of those products in the Walmart are likely on Amazon for a profit, one in every 50 is actually quite good. That could be you can walk out of a Walmart and walk out with 200 items that are all profitable at minimum of $5 each, and your $500 investment just turned into 2,500. So Biggest thing I'm going to say is after this presentation and after the Q&A, you really should start the guides. That's where we're going to talk briefly. I mean, this was only a brief conversation, but this is where we'll talk in depth on how to do retail arbitrage and kind of how to get started. So, as well as the guides, I will also be in the server answering questions directly from any of you guys. So, anybody who has questions, I'm more than happy to answer them. I'll try to get back to you as soon as possible. Just ask them in the FBA chat. And this is just a really good quote. I feel like it's a great quote to end the presentation with, which is well done is better than well said. So you really want to get started today because Amazon registration, like I said, you have the video interview and everything. It can take upwards of a week. So after this Q&A, we're going to open up the guides, and I really highly suggest you get started with the creation of your account today. And if you're hesitant on spending $40, you can sign up for an individual account for free and then make your professional account later on. But having the account is what's going to allow you to get started quickly.